So I'm excited to be here with you all today. I'm excited to stand up here with some of my leaders of the dream team of my organization and just share with you some of the things that have taken our business to the next level. And that is really what we are going to talk about today. So I put this up there. Change starts with you. The most powerful leadership tool that each one of you have is your own personal example. And so some of the most common things that I hear from my coaches and from other people in the organization is, how do I find people? And nobody wants to join my challenge groups, and I'm getting a lot of objections, and how do I recruit? How do I find people to join my team? It starts with you. That is the bottom line. And so think about some of the things in your business that maybe you need to reflect on. So what did you do in 2015, 2014, maybe you've been a coach since 2011 like myself. What are some of the things that maybe have stopped you dead in your tracks from having success, the kind of success that you want to have? And I want to preface by saying that success is different for every person, and you have to own your own success, and it's okay to have a different set of goals than the person sitting next to you, right? Because it's your life and you want to live it just the way you want, what makes you feel happy on the inside. So I want you to ask yourself, what makes me happy? What is going to make me happy? In 2016, what is going to move me forward? And you have a choice. You really have a choice. You can say, I really had a bad year last year. I didn't achieve any of the goals I wanted to. I got inside my own head. I held myself back. I let fear get the best of me. I made a lot of excuses. I let my fitness slide backwards. And you can get stuck in that part where it's just those excuses and that you let the past hold you back. Or you can drop a line in the sand and you can say, wasting time and energy on what happened last year is not what's going to get me to where I want to go tomorrow and the rest of the year. And really say to yourself, okay, fresh slate. It doesn't define me. What defines me are the things that I do right now, or the things I do every single day moving forward. And so that's really what we're going to talk about, right? We're going to talk about ways that these coaches have had obstacles in their businesses, ways that they have been faced with challenges, even setbacks, and how they've taken that and helped them to move their business forward. And you're going to hear from them what they've done over the past 12 months to grow their business, and then what they're going to focus on moving forward. What is going to be the thing that helps propel them into being an elite coach or a premier coach, or even just helping them achieve their goals for this upcoming year. All right? So what can you expect to learn today, right? The takeaways for that is, how are you going to step up your game? And I really think it's important for you not to picture, was it Tara on the video last night talked about how overwhelming like elite is, and seeing all of those numbers? I mean, really, that is overwhelming. I remember the first time that I got on a phone call and was explained what elite meant. I wrote all the numbers and the formulas down, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm getting there. I have no idea. And I remember how overwhelming that was, but the one thing that I always do is I set a monthly goal for myself. Instead of, I do the year, I plan out my year, I ask myself, wouldn't it be crazy cool if I could achieve this? But then I always say, well, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do this week or this month to get me to where I want to go in the long run? And it really is breaking it down. So I am going to talk to you guys today about time management. Good? Is that a good topic? Excuse me. How many of you struggle with time management? Yeah, you're right. We all do. All right, so before I get started, how many of you are in your first 12 months of your business right now? How many of you have been coached for 2 years? 3 years? 4 years? 5? 5? 6? So 5. 5's our longest. Awesome. Okay, so don't you feel like your business evolves as you go through each, like even each 6 months, my business has evolved. So let me just start by telling you, this was me. This is the before. This was before I became a Beachbody coach. This was after I had my youngest, or my oldest. This is Landon here. And so I'm going to talk to you guys about the evolution of time management, because I truly believe it has changed. So when somebody says, how do you manage your time? What are your time management tips? I almost want to say, well, what point are you in your business? Because I feel like it's different based on where you are at in your business, and I've changed. So let me just sort of paint the picture for you, and I want to grab some notes. So me, as a new coach, I have less than 100 friends on Facebook. I had only lost 15 pounds out of the total 30, so I had done Insanity, and I was getting ready to start P90X. And so I was very much consumed with my own personal transformation. I was still learning how to be healthy. I was still learning how to make workouts a part of my life. I had no idea how to use social media to grow a business. I did not even know what a Facebook group was or how to create a group. I didn't know what a like page was. I don't even know if I ever read a blog in my entire life. I did not know what network marketing was. I had no idea what an MLM was. I had to Google it to figure out what it was that I was joining. I was a stay-at-home mom, so when Bryce was born, who was my youngest, I quit my job, and we became single family income. We lived in a townhouse. Matt worked about 45 minutes from home, and he worked long days, and he was gone. And I really had little or no time to build my business, and I will say that many of you may know my story, but Matt, who now is like the ultimate supporter of my business, was not supportive at first. And I know that there are so many of you out there that are in that same situation. So here I was trying to work this business around when he was home, or so that it wouldn't interfere with our family times. I didn't want to make him mad because I was on the computer so much. So, new mom, like mom with a new baby and a toddler, 2 boys, crawling on everything, getting into everything, trying to build a business, trying to go through my own personal transformation, kids not sleeping through the night. Does that sound like many of you? Yeah? So is that a valid excuse for you not to be able to build your business? No, because I did it, so can you, right? But it's that discipline. It's that discipline and that time management. So I realized early on that, that I needed to get a hold of that. And some of my initial roadblocks, and you guys might even have some of these initial roadblocks where I spent too much time scrolling through Facebook. Because here I was saying, I don't know what to post. I don't know what to do. So I would sit and I would scroll and I'd try to get ideas, and I'd save pictures of other people's posts so I had ideas. Then I didn't know where I saved the picture at, and then I would forget about it. And then, right? So it wasn't doing me any good. It wasn't doing me any good at all. I worked out in the afternoon. When my kids would go down for a nap, I'd take the baby monitor to the basement, and that's where I would work out. But now I was building this business. So I needed my workout time now needed to be my business time, but I needed to get my sleep because I wasn't sleeping enough at night, right? So what was I going to do? I had to adjust my time. I had to learn everything from how to talk about Shakeology, what was a challenge group, what is Beachbody, why was it not a scam? I had to put myself out there on social media. I was afraid of selling to people. That is such a big one. And so I was like, how do I get people to join my challenge groups? How do I get them to see that I really want to help them, that I'm just not selling them something, but I do want to make money doing it too, right? So I was sort of caught in this tough spot. I'm very much concerned about what people think. So I always am thinking, what are they thinking about me? Am I posting too much? Oh my gosh, is somebody talking about me? Oh no, the neighbors down the street, they won't talk to me anymore because I'm doing this Beachbody thing. They think I'm weird. So all of these things, right? All these normal self-doubts. I didn't know how to blog. I didn't know what to post. I was definitely I lacked confidence because I wasn't at my goal weight. So how many of you are like, well, I can't be a successful coach if I'm not at my goal weight yet? I needed that training, and 4 years ago, Beachbody had no coach basics. It was literally myself, my coach, her upline, and Sarah Stakeley sitting at the kitchen table going, where do we place coaches? All right, left, right, that sounds good, right? What do we do? We had no idea. So you guys have all this awesome training in this corporate team that brings you great training. Like, you've already got a leg up. So I want to tell you that I had the same roadblocks as you did. And you see me here today in a different light, but I am just the same as you. I am. It's just that I got a hold of that time management. So what were my initial investments in my business? These were, if I could tell you the top 3 things that I did as a new coach, these were them. So number 1, Shalene Johnson has that 30daypush.com that you can go and you can sign up for it. It'll send you an email, or you can buy the book, the 30-Day Push. I like the emails, I like the little videos. It was like a quick little assignment. Actually created a folder in my email that was 30-day push, and I would drag the emails in there if I didn't get a chance to read it for the day. And during this process, it actually made me realize that I needed to set some goals. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but that is important, you know, to be able to, in that 30-day push, to prioritize, to set a push goal, to ask yourself, what do you really want? So how many of you have never asked yourself what I want? How many of you have always lived in the serving others? I'm mom, I'm wife, I'm house cleaner, I'm taxi driver, I'm caretaker to an elderly parent, right? There are many of you out there that have played other roles and have never stopped to say, what do I want? And this, when I read the 30-day push, it was the first time that I asked myself, what do I want? And I remember sitting there thinking, I don't really know what I want. Is it selfish of me to say I want to build a business? Is it selfish of me to want to have this goal body? Is it selfish? Am I taking away from my family? And so it was a process of me coming to what it was that I wanted. And when I came down to it, I became okay with wanting to grow a business. And that was okay, that was going to be one of my top 3 priorities, my family, you know, and my business and our faith. So the second thing I read was Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. It's a very easy read, but in there it talks about eating your frog every day. What is the thing that you have to eat? Because you will put it off, you will procrastinate, and you'll put it off, and it's the one thing that you won't do, and then you keep putting it off, and then when you actually do that thing, you realize that that's actually the thing that moves your business forward the most. So for example, like inviting. Put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off. It gets to 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow what happened? Put it off, put it off, put it off. Never invited. But I was going to. It was on my to-do list, but that was my frog. That was my frog. And so instead, I started doing things like switching that around and making my frog the first thing that I did in the morning instead of the last thing, because I knew that that was going to move my business forward. And that what really helped me to start focusing on what are the things that are going to move me forward. The last thing is, and you may have access to this, but it was an old series that Beachbody did. They did this 90 Days to Excellence, and I have it. I'll post the recording on my timeline so you guys can grab that. I'll do that this afternoon. But it's the Craig Holiday Time Management audio, and it's like under an hour, and he talks about buckets. Is there anybody that's listened to that audio before? Yeah, it's awesome. He talks about when you make your calendar, you have family buckets, and you have friend buckets, and you have spouse bucket, you have a Beachbody bucket, and a personal bucket. And I color-coded my calendar one week. But I did it because I needed to see what it was like where was I spending my time? And then I could realize where I needed to refocus and rebalance, right? So it's a good exercise to do. He talks about that, and I'm going to share that with you guys this afternoon. So, there we go. All right, so new coach time management tips. So number 1, we've got to create clear goals for yourself. So even just sitting in the audience today, what do you need to do next week? What do you need to do next week? How about that? That's really simple. Let's set some clear goals. I am going to invite every single day. I am going to post 3 times a day. I am going to follow up with the people from the day before. I'm going to add 3 to 5 people to my contact list every single day. I'm going to blog 3 times a week. That is, you can measure that, you can track it, you can, at the end of every day, you can look at that and say, I did it or I did not do it. Clear goals. It is not, I'm going to start a challenge group, I'm going to invite, I'm going to get better at posting on social media, because those are not measurable, those are not time specific. I want you to be specific with your time. Then, once you get specific with your time, now we got to put it into practice. We need to say to ourselves each and every day, and one of the things that I do, and I'm going to go over my calendar with you, is I sit down and I actually plan out my week on my calendar, and I schedule in my business time. A big thing is, a lot of you in this audience, a lot of you that are Star Diamond, a lot of you that are multi-Star Diamond, 4 or 5-star Diamond, you still treat this like a hobby. You still say this is fun. I just enjoy helping people. But your goals are like you want this to be a business. But you don't treat it like a business. And you can't achieve business status, you can't achieve business growth if you're not treating it like a real business. And every business has business hours. Even if it's an at-home business, I have set business hours that I go to work. Even if it's in my pajamas and my teeth aren't brushed and my hair hasn't been washed, I still have business hours that I give myself. Even if you work full-time and you have 4 children, you still set business hours. And it might be 30 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, and 30 minutes at night. But you have set aside time for your business. Then you've got to say to yourself, I got to get out of bed. I can't be wasting time. I can't be hitting the snooze button. When that alarm goes off in the morning, you have to say, and you've heard Shalene say this, I'm up, I'm up, I'm up. And I say this to myself, I'm willing to do what other people are not willing to do right now. I'm willing to make those sacrifices so that tomorrow and next year and the year after that, I can have what all those people wish that they could have. And it's discipline. It is discipline in your time management. It is saying, check the excuses at the door and getting to work on your time management. I'm a squirrel like all of you. I really am. And even just yesterday, I'm working on this PowerPoint and I'm like, ooh, I gotta do this, and ooh, I gotta do that. And I've about 4 times had to stop myself and say, no, finish this first. No, keep focused. No, you know. And so it still is a constant work in progress, but it's just, you have to really focus on it. No snooze, get up, get going. Every time you hit the snooze button, somebody else is 5 minutes ahead of you. Somebody else is 10 minutes ahead of you, right? That could be the determining factor between getting that extra invite in or not. And for me, when I started my business, no babysitter, no help, I was it. So when that alarm went off, it was as fast as I could get that workout in, as fast as I could run to the kitchen table, as fast as I could type out those invites, that I could check in with my challengers, that I could follow up with people the night before, that I could make a post, check my email, and then, I mean, I literally actually remember my elbow starting to hurt because I was sitting at that computer and I was typing so fast because I wanted to get it in before the first baby woke up. And I never knew how much time I had. But if they slept in, it was like, bonus, I will write a blog post today, right? Bonus. And that was how I lived the first 18 months of my business. And then I got on a schedule, and I would put them down. I would say, okay, we're gonna be on a schedule. Some of you have newborns. You know, I'm very schedule oriented. 2 o'clock, we gotta be home. Wherever we were, life stopped, we had to be home. They had to nap, because I needed some mom time, but I would get my laptop out, sit down at the table, and I would work. And I would go through the same process. Invite, follow up, check in with my challengers, make a post, and then I would get that done as fast as I could. If they slept a little bit longer, then I would do something extra. I would make something cool on PicMonkey, or I'd make a little video, or that was when I did the extras. And then when the kids woke up, I would straighten up, I would get dinner started, Matt would come home, we'd play, we'd do whatever we needed to do. They'd go to bed at 9 o'clock again. They went to bed, they slept in their beds, we had a pretty specific schedule, and I went back to work again. And I did that for 18 months. Even on my rest days, I got up 5 a.m., alarm went off. All right, I got an extra hour because I don't have to work out today, so now I get to really work on my business. I get to do some extra things. And I just did that because I was so driven to help people to be as good as I could be at building this business that I just was willing to do it. And I didn't necessarily care about, I was tired some days, you know, some days I would take maybe a nap in the afternoon, but I was so focused on the goal at hand. And I was so aware of the fact that I needed to manage my time more effectively. All right, work from a list. So working from a list is super important. So many of the times I sat down at the computer, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I have all these things running around in my head, but what do I do first? Where do I start? So I got in the habit of on Sundays when I do my plan and prep, I would also make just a master, like a brainstorm list of everything that was in my mind, and I would write it down. And then Shalene Johnson will tell you about prioritizing that list. What on that list will bring you the most success? And so I would sit there and I would say, okay, this is a nice to have, this is something I can do later, but this, if I do this one thing, it's gonna help everything else on that list happen. And so I started to rearrange my to-do list and just pick off a few things and say, this is what I'll work on tomorrow. And I would work on those things from that list. I obviously didn't shut off my phone. Okay, sorry. I would work from that list, and if I didn't get that thing done, I would put it back on the master sheet. Before I went to bed at night, and my business activity tracker, I would check to make sure everything was completed. If I didn't eat my frog, I got in the habit of saying, you are not allowed to go to bed until you invite 3 people. And now I do that to my coaches, right? So I'm sure some of you, I've said to you, and you're like, oh, I'm so tired, I'll invite tomorrow. I'm like, no, you have 5 minutes, invite. And so I train myself to do that, so now I train them to do the same thing. I train them to do the exact same thing that I do. So at night, I would look, what's my goal for tomorrow? What's my mission? What do I need to accomplish? And I would make my to-do list, so that when I sat down to the computer, I knew what I was gonna do. The minute I flip my computer up, I have a purpose. Ringer is off. My phone is barely ever on unless I'm waiting. My mom and my husband can vouch that I never hear their phone calls, right? I mean, because I can't stand that dinging. I can't stand that constant, it's distraction. Turn it off. How many of you have your computers on so you hear that bleep, ding all the time? Turn it off. Turn it off. Then your chat bar for your Facebook Messenger, how often are you like in the groove and you're writing a post and then all of a sudden, whoop, that pops up. And you're like, I gotta answer this. No, you don't have to answer it. Turn the chat bar off. Just turn it off. There's that little wheel at the bottom, turn it off. Your notifications, you'll see that you have messages, but if it's not message time, if it's challenger time, you'd be talking to challengers. If it's message time, you're answering messages. If a notification pops up that somebody checked into a challenge group, you do not always have to answer it exactly at that moment. It's okay if they wait 20 minutes until you finish what you're doing. That is okay. And that's something that you just have to train yourself, that there are specific times of the day that you're doing specific activities and that nobody's gonna die. And more often than not, your coaches will find the answer by the time you go to respond, because they'll ask you a question and you'll wait 10 minutes, they'll be like, never mind, I found it. Like, great, I didn't waste my time, right? FAQs, Google. Google it. If you don't know it, Google it. I didn't have anybody to tell me where to go. We were all trying to figure it out together at the beginning. I Googled a lot. It works, right? I definitely made sacrifices. I will say this new coach time requires a lot of sacrifice. It just does. You're building a business. And this business can create a lot of freedom for you, but no business is ever going to be handed to you on a silver platter. If you have that sort of mentality, it's just not the right place. Even if this is fun, even if you love, everybody in this room loves helping people, but it still is going to be hard work. Just like you are a CEO, you are like Carl Daikeler, and you have to look at it that way. Do you know how many times he was rejected and shut down and failed in businesses? You heard him say last night, what did he say, 2 years he pays people out of his savings account? He paid his employees 2 years, guys. How many of you are ready to throw in the towel and you've only been a coach for 6 months? Right? You got to give it time and you have to have faith in it. All right. I wanted to say this really quickly. Delay instant gratification for long-term success. Hey, want to go on a play date? It's nap time. I could push back nap time. We could do this play date. We could go to the pool. No, it's nap time. I got to work my business too. My kids need to nap. And they definitely were happier because I didn't push them. Or, on a Sunday night or a Monday night, let's go to the movies. Let's go do something fun. I'm like, no, I got this team call. I got to do it. I got to do it. But now, that 3 years of my life of making those kinds of sacrifices, just little things, to now, it's totally changed. It has totally changed. I have so much more freedom now that I've created a system and I've got the basics of my business and I've got leaders that we're all working together. I don't have to work as hard as I did to get the same amount of success that I was getting before. So remember that. I have a little note card and I've kept it, and it says, I will delay instant gratification for long-term success. And it's stuck on my bathroom mirror for a year. And every morning I would say, I'm watching everybody else do all this other stuff and buy all these fancy things, and I was just saving and saving and saving and saying no and staying focused on what I really wanted in the long run. All right, so let's raise the bar on efficiency. That's where we're going next. Invest in your business. So part of managing your time is being able to say, where do I need to invest in myself? So personal development is a big piece. It's a big part of your time management. So what audio are you listening to? I would clean the house, I would cook dinner and have my iPad up, and I'd be listening to Craig Holiday or previous coach calls or things on YouTube. Anything that I got a chance to listen to, I was listening to. My husband will make fun of me every time he gets in the car. There's never the radio on because it's personal development, or I'm talking to a coach or somebody or a challenger in the car. Every moment was learning. Every evening, instead of watching that mindless TV that I used to watch, was listening to YouTubes or how to build a blog. I was just all in with figuring out how to grow this business. Every moment, that's what I thought about. Then, as my business started to grow, right? It took me 9 months to get to Diamond. I signed up in July. I went Diamond in January during the Cup. The Cup is going to be in February. Make sure you guys get teams for that. I went 2-star in December of that first whole year, so 18 months into the business. And then that January, we hired a babysitter 2 days a week for 3 hours. 2 days a week for 3 hours. So here I was, 18 months into the business, and I finally was able to get Matt on board enough to let me hire some help, because I was cleaning, I was cooking, I was doing the laundry, I was doing everything, and I was definitely starting to burn out. And so I was able to get some help. And so those 3 hours, 2 days a week, were my time to do the things I couldn't do when the kids were awake. And sometimes that was coach calls, because I hated when my kids were screaming in the background. I hated when other people would call me and their kids were screaming in the background. I'm like, I only have a half hour to talk to you, and you're yelling at your kids, or you're like, hold on, I gotta get, So I didn't like that, so I didn't want to do that to them, because again, I'm like, this is my business. This has to be professional. So I would schedule my calls during that time. I would set a time limit, 30 minutes. I would have a specific agenda when I got on the calls. And I would schedule out that time. But now I started to, as 18 months into this, I was starting to get the understanding of what I needed to do, that this was a business. I had a couple of working coaches. I had 3, 4 working coaches 18 months into the business that were really pushing for Diamond, that were working hard at it. And so now I had this shift. So where before it was all me building my business, getting challengers, trying to work my way to Diamond, now I had these people that wanted my time, these awesome, amazing coaches that had the same vision. But how did I juggle it all? Because I still have the same 24 hours, but now I need to give them time. I need to build my time. Is there some of you that are at that point too? How do I manage it? All right, 80-20 rule. 80-20. 80-20 until you're like a superstar Diamond. 80-20. Right? Until people are knocking down your door to find you, it's 80-20. 80% of your time is building your business, and 20% is working with your team. And you do it in such a way that it benefits everybody, because if you stop working your business and start pouring all of your time into them, what happens if they quit? And that happens a lot. What happens if life changes for them? Or if life throws them a curveball? You can't control your coaches, you can control your behavior. And so that is where I started, and I made the mistake of spending all of my time with my team. And then I started to say, okay, I'm going to spend the first hour of my day on me, and then I will spend an hour on them in the afternoon, or the first 3 hours on me, and then 2 hours on them, right? So I started to split up my time, but I always made my personal business first, because I wanted to be able to lead by example. So I wanted to be able to say, this is what I'm doing in my business. All right, I'm having a rough month. Like, the invites are hard. I wanted to be able to show them how that was going, so I had to lead first. So 80-20, guys. 80-20. Set time limits. I use Acuity Scheduler. It's like an online scheduling. You can go in and you can set up business hours for your coaches to pick times. You can even do this with your challengers, or people that want to set up appointments to talk about, the business, or they want to talk about being in your challenge group. You can say, oh, sure, pick a time, what works best for you. And then, of course, if somebody says, I can't do those times I work or whatnot, I will make time. But when you set business hours, it also sets the precedence that this is a real business. And when we set up time to chat, that we have an agenda, and this is what we're talking about. Right? And so as your business grows, your balance can get off track. So you do want to remember to keep yourself those checks and balances. So every single week, Matt and I got into the habit of, on Sundays, I would say, this is what I've got going on for the week, Matt. I've got a call on Monday night. I've got Fit Club on Tuesday night. I'm going to, these are my business hours for the week. And then if there was something extra, like I'm doing a business opportunity call, I would tell him ahead of time. Because there's nothing worse than being, in his words, like walking in the door from a long day, and think of yourself, yeah, you're home with the kids, it's been a long day, and you walk in the door, he walks in the door, and I would say, take him, I gotta go do a call, and I would run in the other room and slam the door, and he's like, I'm exhausted. He would say that to me, and so if I would tell him ahead of time what it was gonna look like, we had a much better balance. But it took us a while to get there. We had some knockdown, drag-out fights about it, right? Time management was rough to get on the same page so he understood what my goals were so we could work together as a family. All right, so I only have a couple minutes left, but I really want to share with you the way I now manage my time, which you guys can do this right now too. I think you're just better off if you start with this. So this is Google. This is a Google Calendar, and I live and die by it. So I actually took off all my daily things, and this is my monthly calendar. And I always post this in my team page so that my coaches can see what my game plan is for the month. And then I do a diamond call every single week, and I always walk them through my strategy so that they know why I'm running groups, when I'm running them, and what my strategy is for it. So my business hours now, where I am in my business, because I still treat it like a business, I work Mondays 8 to 4:30, I work Wednesdays 8 to 4:30, but then on Tuesdays I do 12 to 3. And then I do evening calls. So instead of, I used to do an evening call Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Because I wanted to help everybody. I wanted everybody to be successful. And then I started to say, well, what if I start later one day and then I can do all my calls in one evening? So now I do a Monday night team call, and then I do back-to-back, like 7, 8, 9 on Tuesdays. But I start my day later, and I can spend time, I spend time with Bryce in the morning and Matt, and we go do things, and my day just starts later, right? So then on Wednesdays, I work pretty hard, and then Thursdays, I just work in the morning because it's recognition. And then by Thursday, I work so hard Sunday through Thursday that I'm like, it's time to relax. So by the time Thursday afternoon hits, I sort of check out. You know, I do my 3 to 5 posts a day. I still follow up. I still check in with my challengers. When they go to bed at night, I'll like look and just answer any messages that need answered. Friday mornings, I get up, I do my workout. Nobody else is awake in the house because I'm up early. I will do my check-ins, and then we're out. We go to lunch on Fridays, we take Bryce to school, we do some shopping together, and then the weekends are just mornings and family. And then by Sunday night, I'm ready to hit the ground running again. So this is balance to me. This is balance to me, and I found my balance. It may not work for you. Please don't try to copy it because it may not work exactly for you, but you have to work at it until you find that right fit that sort of feels good to you. That is important. All right, so what I do is I go through and I say, I'm advertising for challenge groups for the first 2 weeks of the month. All right, now I'm advertising for coaching the second 2 weeks of the month, and having a schedule that says, this is when I'm starting my challenge groups. This is when I'm starting my coach basics. This is when I'm going to do calls. Knowing what that looks like helps me stay organized and helps me communicate better to Matt and to my team and to anybody else. So hopefully that is helpful for you guys. All right, so call to action for you guys. Was this helpful? Yeah? Is there anything I didn't ask you that you would really like to know about time management? No? All right, so number one, so many of us get caught up in systems. So we think to ourselves, I can't get started until I have the perfect organizational system to be able to implement my business. No, you just have to start. Don't overthink it, set business hours, make a to-do list, and you will tweak and grow and learn along the way. But so many of you just think about it and think about it and think about it, and you just never get started. And so what I want you guys to do is take action. Take action. Spend a half hour creating your list, setting your business hours, treating it like a business. Even if you still have a full-time job, you still want to make your money, right? Putting the time in, you want to get that return on your investment. Don't waste, I said that, don't waste your time on organization. And lastly, you have to just do it. I can't come through that computer screen, I can't come out into the audience and physically make your fingers type or make you work your business. It really does, it relies on you. Everything moving forward in this year relies on the choices you make, the decisions that you choose, the sacrifices along the way, and the balance you create. All right, so thanks guys for letting me talk to you about time management.